Hello everyone, welcome back. So let's begin now. Delay, where is sir? Arey, I'm here only, don't worry. Okay, so now coming back to our discussion. RPA 1951 is what we were discussing, and we were discussing about the qualification and disqualification, section 102, article 102, clause 1, subclause E, under which we have several disqualifications which were made through RPA 1951, and those disqualifications are section 8, 8A, 9, 9A, 10 and 10A. Okay, here. Now I'll explain section 8 first, and then we'll discuss the other sections. So other sections are very simple. 8 is the one where you require a bit of understanding. So please follow carefully. There are certain laws in the country. Divide those laws into 3 categories. Laws and they are under 3 categories. First category of laws. These laws, if you violate such laws or you are held guilty under such laws, conviction, right? Or the moment you are held guilty, let's use a better word for everybody's comprehensive understanding. Held guilty or convicted. Whether you are given punishment of fine, punishment of 1 day, punishment of 10 days, 100 days, 1 lakh days, 10 years, does not matter. Irrespective of jail sentence. Irrespective of jail sentence, you will be disqualified immediately for jail sentence and extra 6 years. Okay. Disqualification is common. That disqualification is common for every case. Second kind of loss. Yaram City, if you can read the word, I think it's clearly visible, right? Anyway. So, second thing, there are some other kind of laws. If you are held guilty or convicted, which word is not clear? This word is not clear. Let's write again. Let's hope this time. Is it clear now? or I believe you should refresh your screen if that is causing a concern. Okay. Anyway, so held guilty or convicted with minimum 6 months of jail. So certain kind of laws, there you have to get the punishment of at least 6 months of jail. Okay. Third case, held guilty or convicted, same thing, with minimum 2 years of jail. Okay. Third category. Under all these cases, you will be disqualified. And for how long? The disqualification is the same. Disqualified for the jail term plus 6 years. Are we clear on this? These kind of laws where you are held guilty, the moment you are held guilty, whether you are given 1 day punishment or 10 days punishment does not matter. These laws are under section 8 subsection 1. Let me show you now. Look at these laws. The moment any individual in this country is held guilty under UPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, if you're held guilty under PCRA, Protection of Civil Rights Act, if you're held guilty under NDPS Act, Shah Rukh Khan, Aryan Khan case, if you're held guilty under PCA, Prevention of Corruption Act, or if you're held guilty under Commission of Sati Act, etc., or any of these IPC sections, 153A, 171E, 171F, so on and so forth. Look at the meaning of all these sections. This is not this is not required to be mugged up. Just remember the sections. For example, 171FE, bribery, 171F, impersonation. Then all these sections 376 A, B, C, D, they are related to rape. Then cruelty by the husband and the family towards a woman. Then hate speech. Here also hate speech. If you are held guilty under any of these offenses or any of these offenses, the moment you are held guilty, whether the court gives you fine, punishment, 1 day punishment, 7 days punishment, 10 days punishment, it does not matter. These crimes are so heinous that we will immediately disqualify you from contesting, and if you are already a member, you are immediately disqualified. Are we clear on this? This is section 8.1. Held guilty or convicted, irrespective of jail sentence. Let's say you are given 3 months of jail sentence. So you will be disqualified for 3 months. 3 months, that is the jail term plus extra 6 years. That means 6 years and 3 months. Okay. This was section 8.1, certain types of laws. Section 8.2. Under these laws, Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, Essential Commodities Act, if you are found to be black marketing, right, commodities. Then Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954. What is this food adulteration? What is adulteration? So mixing unwanted substances to reduce the cost price of any item. For example, in our school days, we must have studied that brick powder is mixed into chili powder, or water in milk, or A very interesting and innovative kind of adulterant is, if you have ever had coriander powder, dhania, coriander powder. In coriander powder, horse dung is mixed as an adulterant. Now, next time you cook and add coriander powder, you will also be wondering how much of it is horse dung. Anyway, also Dowry Prohibition Act. Do you know this law? Dowry Prohibition Act. Anything special about this law that you can think of? Tell me. Anything special about this law? Dowry Prohibition Act. Very good, Vipin. The very first law to be passed in a joint sitting. Great. If the court finds you guilty under any of these laws, and gives you a minimum jail sentence, of how many months? 6 months. If you are given 5 months of jail, nothing will happen. 5 months, 29 days of jail, nothing will happen. But the moment you are given 6 months of jail, you will be disqualified from being an MP, MLA, MLC immediately. Section 8, subsection 2. Held guilty or convicted with minimum jail of 6 months. So let's say you are given a jail of 6 months, disqualified for how much time? 6 months jail term plus 6 years. 6 months and 6 years, disqualified from contesting elections, or if you're a sitting member, disqualified. Are you clear? These are certain kinds of laws where you are disqualified from contesting elections, or if you're already a member, you're disqualified immediately. But in our country, there are so many laws, right? Hundreds of laws under IPC. Murder, dacoity, theft, chain snatching, robbery, etc. What happens if you are convicted under those laws? Then comes section 8, subsection 3. Meaning, if you are convicted by the court under any other kind of law, then the court gives you 2 years of jail sentence, at least 2 years of jail sentence. You will be disqualified for the jail period plus extra 6 years. That is section 8(3), under which our very innocent former MP, or sorry, in his Twitter account, it now mentions disqualified MP. So our disqualified MP, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, was disqualified. Why? Because he was convicted, in this case, under defamation. Defamation is a criminal offense. IPC section 499, and the punishment is mentioned under section 500. So Mr. Rahul Gandhi was held guilty of criminal defamation. And he was given the punishment of how many years? Now you remember, 2 years. 2 years is the maximum punishment that can be given under defamation. So the moment he was jailed for 2 years, automatically section 8 subsection 3 kicks in. This one, you are held guilty or convicted for any other kind of offense, a general offense, which is not mentioned in 8(1) and 8(2), then you'll be disqualified for how many years? The jail term plus 6 more years. So currently, Mr. Rahul Gandhi has been disqualified for 8 years. Currently. This is section 8, subsection 3. And as we had said, persons convicted under section 8.1, 8.2, 8.3 shall be disqualified. Please read the statement. Please read the statement. Shall be disqualified from date of such conviction. The moment the court holds you guilty, and shall continue to be disqualified for a further period of 6 years since their release. Release from where? Release from jail. So if you are jailed, of course you will be disqualified. You are disqualified. You can't contest. Even after coming out of jail, you can't contest for 6 more years. Now my question is, can any person who is convicted of any offense be allowed to contest? Tell me. Can any person who is convicted of some offense be allowed to contest? Yes, they can. If your offense only gives you a punishment of less than 2 years, if you are caught in chain snatching and the judge says punishment of 10 months, what is that? That's under 8.3, where minimum punishment is 2 years. If you are punished under, say, Dowry Prohibition Act and you are given 5 months of jail, will you be disqualified? Of course not. Am I clear on this? The only unique situation is 8.1, where whatever is the punishment, if you are held guilty under these kind of laws, you are immediately disqualified. Now, one more thing. See, when it comes to Rahul Gandhi's disqualification on grounds of defamation, that may be harsh. But Congress started saying, oh, see, the speaker biased approach, the Lok Sabha immediately notification was issued for his disqualification. No. This is not biased. RPA is very clear in that. It says the person shall be disqualified from the date of such conviction. So the moment the court declares the verdict and you fall under any category, disqualified. So no prime minister, no home minister, no speaker, no president, nobody can do anything about this. Let us be very clear on that. I hope this point is clear. These are the 3 sections, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. Now I'll tell you a very interesting situation. There also used to be a section 8.4, which was there. This was section 8.4. Read this section with me, please. I'll firstly help you understand. This section said that if any sitting legislator, meaning MP, MLA, MLC, becomes disqualified under section 8.1, 8.2 or 8.3, if any sitting legislator gets disqualified and the person appeals against the conviction within 3 months, then they will not be disqualified. What kind of section is this? I mean, if a sitting MP is declared guilty by a court, let's say declared guilty for murder and given 10 years of jail, don't you think that particular MP will appeal against the judgment in High Court? He will, right? So of course he will appeal against the judgment. So the section said, if any current MP, MLA, MLC gets disqualified and he appeals in a higher court within 3 months, disqualification will be cancelled. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. If you go to High Court, we have seen the pendency in High Court. The case will be pending forever. How will justice be delivered? So this was challenged in the Supreme Court. So way back in 2013, Basant Kumar Chaudhary, he filed a petition and hired the services of Lily Thomas, the lawyer. And Lily Thomas was at that point of time 85 years old, and she won the case where Supreme Court said this is utter nonsense. What is this disqualification will be cancelled if you appeal? Appeal comes later. The moment the court holds you guilty, immediate disqualification. That is what happened in this case. So don't feel bad about it. We can question the intent of the judge in the district court, that why this harsh punishment. But the next step taken to immediately disqualify Rahul Gandhi was actually a step which is under the RP and also as per Supreme Court guidelines. That Supreme Court said in the Lil Thomas case that the court held that if any sitting member of the parliament or state legislature is convicted of any offense under 1, 2, and 3, then by virtue of such conviction, they will be disqualified. We will not wait for your appeal. If you go and appeal in the High Court cancels the punishment, then disqualification is removed. But go and appeal in High Court. And now comes the reality of our High Courts also. So let's see how quickly our High Court takes up this case. Because otherwise High Courts are very busy, right? Supreme Court is very busy. For poor people's cases, they can languish in jail for hundreds of years. I mean, not hundreds of years, 10, 20 years. But let's see how, and you will be surprised how enthusiastic our courts become. Whatever was there in the Surat district court, wrong or right, that's secondary. This will show us that laws may not be the same for everybody. For rich and elite people, we have exceptions, right? Okay. So now there is no such window of 3 months. The moment the court holds you guilty, disqualified. Are we all okay with section 8, 1, 2, and 3? I presume we are. Great. Yes, Akula, Surat court is district court, local court. Section 8.4 is no longer there. Okay, it has been struck down. So we only have 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. Please mug up all these sections. Okay, let me repeat once more. Section 8.1 says, if you are held guilty for certain kinds of offenses which are mentioned in section 8.1, you will be disqualified with immediate effect, irrespective of the type of punishment. Section 8.2 says, if you are held guilty of any kind of offense under the 4 laws mentioned and the minimum punishment is 6 months, then you will be disqualified for additional 6 years plus the jail sentence. And if you are otherwise held guilty for any other kind of offense, then you have to be given minimum 2 years of jail. If you are given the 2 years of jail punishment, you'll be disqualified for additional 6 years plus the jail term. Okay. Sushri, this is IPC section 499, which provides for criminal defamation, and the punishment for defamation is mentioned under section 500 of IPC. Okay. Okay, so Jigar is from Surat. Great. So this is it with respect to 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. I hope the point is clear now. Moving on to the other sections. The sections are very, very simple. Then we have 8A. This is where you are disqualified for, yes, Shalu, the window was there earlier. It is no longer there now. It was there earlier under section 8.4. It is now cancelled. Section 8A. Disqualification on ground of corrupt practice. What is this corrupt practice? As I said, this corrupt practice, the definition is actually mentioned under section 123 of RPA 1951. Okay. What is this corrupt practice? There are various examples. For example, if you are held guilty of bribing the voter, if you are held guilty of influencing the candidates, you threaten somebody, don't contest election, or you try to promote enmity, giving hate speeches that I am a Hindu, vote for me, I am a Muslim, vote for me, all this drama you do. If you try to get involved in booth capturing, what is booth capturing? It used to happen a lot earlier. The hooligans would storm over the booth and steal the ballot boxes only where the votes were kept. That is also a reality of our country. That's how far we have come now, that it is unthinkable for a lot of you. But it used to happen. Or they would pour ink inside the ballot box to destroy all the votes. All these things used to happen. Or one very interesting disqualification, if you are a government, say a minister, let me write here, use of government machinery to win the election. If you are, say today Narendra Modi or Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, anyone, they are ministers. If Narendra Modi starts campaigning and starts using Indian Air Force helicopters to travel here and there for campaigning, not for PM visit, for election campaigning, is it justified? Of course not. That is called a corrupt practice. Indira Gandhi was convicted by the Allahabad High Court for this only. This is actually section 123, subsection 7. Example, Indira Gandhi. She was convicted of corrupt practice in this case only. Right? So that was it by the Allahabad High Court. She had used the Indian Air Force to travel to Raebareli to campaign. She had also used the services of Yashpal Kapoor, the government officer given to her for government responsibilities, not for personal campaigning. So let me remind you, if tomorrow you become a district magistrate, right? If tomorrow you become district magistrate and so the PM comes to your district as a prime minister, it's your duty to make all the arrangements. But if he comes to your area as an election campaigner, your only duty is the security of the prime minister. That's it. See, as far as you are a minister, security is an exception. Beyond that, you cannot use government resources to campaign for the election. You cannot use government officials to make arrangements, right? So that is what she was held guilty of. So if section 8A says, if you are disqualified on the ground of corrupt practices. So if you are found guilty for a corrupt practice, you will be disqualified for a maximum period of 6 years. Section 8, 1, 2 and 3 say minimum 6 years. Here, maximum 6 years. Okay. Then section 9. This is for people like you. All those people who are planning to contest elections after becoming IS officers and all. So please understand, if at any point of time you held a government office under Government of India, state government, and you were dismissed from your job, you did not resign, you were dismissed on the grounds of two things: corruption or disloyalty towards the country. Then for the next 5 years, you cannot contest elections. 5 years. So you also have to remember 6, minimum 6, maximum 6, 5, all these words, because they keep on changing. Are they clear? Any government employee who is dismissed from his service for corruption or disloyalty towards the state will be disqualified for the next 5 years from contesting elections. Then 9A. Who is this person? He is Hemant Soren. He is a Jharkhand chief minister. So, you know very well that in the case of government, government offers contracts to private builders to build bridges, roads, etc. You cannot give contract to yourself. And we know Office of Profit is also there. For that time period, while you hold any kind of government contract, until a government contract exists in your name, you cannot contest elections. It's very logical. When you contest elections, you have to sit in the parliament, sit in the state assembly, and question the government. If you're holding some government contract, you are taking some benefit from the government. Yes or no? Of course. So how will you be able to perform your tasks properly? It is violation of Office of Profit. This is a classic example of Office of Profit. That is why Section 9A says you will be disqualified for any government contract, etc. Meaning, any person will be disqualified for as long as there exists a government contract entered into by him in the course of trade or business with any appropriate government. So if there's a government contract, you better give up the contract. Only then can you contest elections. Okay, that's there. Now, what happened to Hemant Soren? I mean, sometimes our politicians do tasks which are, nothing short of amazing. They just amaze us. So, Mr. Hemant Soren, he awarded a contract around 0.88 acres of land outskirts of Ranchi. That was a stone chip mining lease. He gave the contract to himself in his own name. I mean, you are the chief minister. Everybody knows your name. If you want to be involved in corruption, use somebody else's name. Benami. He gave the contract to himself while being the chief minister. Anyway, when this matter was brought to light, of course, he gave the contract. But he should have been disqualified. He was not. He gave up the contract and he was not disqualified. So that is also a case. I mean, what can we do in certain situations? I mean, sometimes it is less of worrisome, more of fun for us to know that we have such amazing people of high intellectual capacity who are governing us. That is why it's your responsibility to enter the services and improve the system. This won't work. This kind of system which is existing right now with the real power in these people's hands won't work for long. If you want to make India great, we'll have to have right people in politics as well. Anyway, section 10. Section 10 is just like section 9A. If you are a managing agent, a manager, secretary, etc. of any government company or government corporation, meaning any company where government at least has 25% shareholding, meaning government controls 25% of the company. If you are holding any office there, you cannot contest elections. You resign first, then contest elections. Okay. Lastly, section 10A. So we had seen in the functions of election commission that when it comes to functions, election commission will keep a track of all the money you spend. So you also have to furnish such information to the election commission. Now the problem here is when you furnish such information to election commission, you have to furnish it in a specific time period. If you cross that time period and you have no reasons to justify why you are late, you can be disqualified for 3 years. One more thing. Where is 3 years? Here it's 3 years. One more thing. Not only this, section 10A also says that if you overspend plus spend beyond the expenditure limit, then also you will be disqualified for up to 3 years. So that is there. These are the disqualifications that are there in the country as of now, apart from the other constitutional disqualification. Okay. I hope the point is clear. And just to add to this one more very important section, section 11, it says if you want to remove these disqualifications or reduce the period of disqualification, election commission can do it. So election commission is the right authority to reduce the disqualification or even remove the disqualification. Okay. But they have to give reasons why they are removing the disqualification. I hope this point is clear. Section 11. And that is why, in our country, currently, if you look at some data on our MPs, MLAs who have pending criminal cases, I'll give you an example. So, roughly 2,556 sitting over 2,500 sitting legislators, they have a pending criminal case. 2,500 plus sitting MPs, MLAs, MLCs. Out of them, you'll be surprised, 174 cases where the accusation is a heinous crime. Punishment is death sentence also, meaning not for petty crimes always, but for serious crimes, murders, rapes, etc. But investigation is pending. That is pending. In fact, if you reduce this further and you add our former sitting or former legislators also, so till December 2021, there were around 5,000. The exact number is 4,984. Around 5,000 current or former legislators had a pending criminal case, and roughly 16 to 1,700 people, our politicians, had a pending heinous criminal case where the punishment is at least 7 years. It could be bank robbery, assault with an attempt to murder, abetment to suicide, murder, rapes, right? Sexual molestation, such kind of crimes they're accused of. But because our judiciary is so quick and fast, for elites, of course, that the matter is delayed. That's the sad state of affairs. So the bigger question is how to address this. I mean, of course, we can simply take this step: fast track courts. Okay, fast track courts can be set up. We have 10 fast track courts. Last data that we have for September 2021 was that 10 fast track courts were there. There also pendency is there. Around 3,000 cases are pending there also. Here, there, everywhere, pendency. What can we do? I mean, the only way is, people have to vote for better candidates. We have to spread awareness amongst people. Laws must become more stringent, right? and of course fast track courts, and we have to also use restrictive qualification. This won't work. This kind of non-qualification won't work. We have to use restrictive qualification. Okay. So this is with respect to all the disqualifications available wherein our sitting MPs, MLAs, MLCs can be uh, disqualified, or if somebody wants to contest, they can be disqualified. So I hope now you know all the sections. 8, conviction for certain offences. 8A, corrupt practices. 9, corruption, disloyalty. 9A, holding government contract. 10, if you are a part of a government company. And 10A, if you don't lodge election expenses in time, or you spend beyond the limit that has been given by the election commission. Okay, that is all with respect to our disqualification. Lakshmi, 2500 is for 2020. Section 10. Shiva, Section 10 basically says that if you are holding any important post, manager, secretary, etc., in any government company, again, office of profit, same thing. If you are holding any such post in a government company, meaning what's a government company as per Section 10? As per Section 10, government company would mean any company where the government has 25% shareholding. Okay, that is called government company. Okay. Yes, Priyanka, election commission can remove the disqualification, but why will they remove it? There has to be a reason for it. Nitika, if only one candidate contests, elections will not take place. Yaram Sethi, yes, total 8 years. Okay. Now, yes, Suraj, of course, that is possible. And that is what most politicians do. That is what corrupt officials do. They purchase Benami property in the name of somebody else. Now, you can't purchase property now in the name of your wife or spouse, husband, wife, kids, etc., because there could be a problem, because every candidate, every MP, MLA, MLC, every bureaucrat has to furnish annually assets and liabilities of yours, your spouse, and dependent kids also. So you can't purchase things in their name. It's very difficult now. You'll get caught. Gyaram Sethi, that is under section 60, subsection C of RPA 1951. Okay. Chana Baswa, why will Supreme Court revoke section 84 ban? In fact, when Supreme Court gave and the hilarious thing is, when Supreme Court gave its judgment in the Lily Thomas case, cancelling section 84, Congress government brought an ordinance to bypass Supreme Court judgment. That ordinance was torn by Rahul Gandhi only. And had that ordinance been made into a law, Rahul Gandhi right now would not have been disqualified. Anyway, okay. Can government machinery include government car or not? Official government car is not a part of government machinery under section 123. We have to apply logic also as to what would mean corruption, misuse of authority, and what is not. Okay. So if I'm a prime minister and I'm staying in my government quarter, I don't have to vacate my quarter to contest elections. That makes no sense. So when we read all these provisions, logic has to be applied on what exactly is government machinery, right? I'm getting government salary. You will say stop the salary while I'm contesting. That's not possible. Okay. I also have a role to play. Shahbaz, section 8, subsection 4 is not active right now. That's the meaning. Court has struck down, cancelled it. It's gone. In the words of Rahul Gandhi, khatam. Okay. Now, some other provisions. So, first up, of course, you have this option of Section 11. Election Commission can revoke your disqualification. Otherwise, if there is any dispute arising because of elections happening in the country, you can approach the High Court. Okay. So, High Court is the right court where you can approach if there is any dispute pertaining to elections of MP, MLA, MLC. Just like Supreme Court is the right court to approach if there is any dispute pertaining to elections of President and Vice President, High Courts. And you can appeal in the Supreme Court. That's the point. I hope this point is clear. Apart from it, of course, we have this thing also that in case you are dismissed for corruption, you can also get the disqualification removed by challenging the corruption act only. So all these things are there. Now, one more interesting provision. You know, from how many seats can somebody contest elections? 2 seats. Earlier, it was more than 2. It was modified. Since 1996. Okay. This is Section 33. Let me add subsection also. Subsection 7 of RPA 1951. Okay. In fact, we have seen various cases. Of course, you know, Narendra Modi contested from 2 seats in 2014, Rahul Gandhi from 2 seats in 2019. And in case there is any casual vacancy that occurs, for example, currently we have vacancy in Wayanad because Rahul Gandhi has been disqualified. Okay. So that vacancy has to be filled within 6 months. So any vacancy in any seat, that is called a casual vacancy, that happens, that has to be filled within 6 months. Okay. Now the conduct of election, Section 30. So we have seen this today only. The Election Commission fixes the entire schedule right from announcement till the declaration of results. So announcement happens, then the president or governor issues notification, then the nomination window for 7 days. Scrutiny of nomination is there, withdrawal of candidature is there, beginning of polling, ending of voting, result declaration, etc. Now, Section 20B. This is for observers. There's a very unique post called observer. These people are appointed by Election Commission. Who are these observers? So observers are basically of 3 kinds. General, counting. These are IAS officers from other states. And then we have police observers. These are IPS officers. Okay. So who are these observers? IAS officer, let's say you are in Karnataka, we'll have elections shortly. So some IAS from Gujarat, some IAS from Nagaland, some IAS from Delhi, some IAS from UP, etc. They will all be given election duty. Meaning what? They'll be given task to manage a constituency or 2 or 3 constituencies. Normally, they are only given task to manage 1 constituency. So what they will do is, or in case of state elections, it can be every person is given the charge of 2 constituencies also. So what you will have to do is, you as an outsider have no interest in local politics. You will be neutral. So you come there and just observe whether elections are taking place in that constituency properly or not. And if you find there is any kind of malpractice going on, report to Election Commission, and you can also stop the counting of votes and stop the returning officer from declaring the results. And you can complain to Election Commission that, sir, in this constituency, elections are not happening properly. The returning officer is helping the ruling party. You please take action against him. And based on your report, the ECI can take action against the concerned official. Okay, so that's there. Observers. Same goes for police. IPS officers from other states are sent to other states to act as police observers. Okay. Then, presiding officer. We have discussed this earlier only, that every polling booth will have a presiding officer. So the person who controls the button of the EVM, that person is the presiding officer. It is a duty of the presiding officer to conduct the elections in every polling booth, and that duty is allocated by the returning officer. So you will be given the task to allocate duty, election duty, right? And for that, money also is given, not a big amount. Okay, money is given depending on which area. Who decides? You decide the funds, how much money to be given to these people, presiding officers, on that day of duty. Okay, then to help the presiding officer, we have polling officers also. It shall be the duty of polling officers to help the presiding officer, verifying the name, voter ID card, marking the ink, ticking on the voter list, all these things. And very important, please understand, and always wonder, you should always wonder on this, that our bureaucracy is so lethargic. Normally, there is this allegation that bureaucracy is a very, lethargic body, does not move. It has to be oiled regularly. No, you have to grease their palm with some kind of free flow of funds to push them to work. But suddenly, when the elections are around the corner, the same bureaucracy becomes so effective, so efficient. How? Because if an IAS, IPS officer or a government employee is afraid of anything, that is denial of promotion. And one negative remark by Election Commission in your service record can jeopardize your future promotions also. Because no political party in power would want to appoint corrupt officials who have been corrupt in elections. Nobody will appoint you at any plum posting. So your career will be at stake if you are found guilty by Election Commission of any kind of malpractice. Even the allegations are recorded, right? So you have to be very careful. And that is section 28A, which says the returning officer, presiding officer, everybody who is involved in election, from the date they are involved in election, they are said to be on deputation to ECI, meaning they are, for that duration of election, not government employees, they are employees of Election Commission. Okay, Election Commission. And because you are for a small period employee of Election Commission, please read the line. Such officers shall during that period be subject to what? Be subject to the control, the superintendence and discipline of the Election Commission of India. So it is this fear that if ECI reports negatively, my career is spoiled. It is this fear that motivates our people, the bureaucrats, to perform effectively. The same bureaucracy which is very lazy suddenly becomes so active and performs so beautifully that we are left wondering that had the same kind of energy and enthusiasm, had it been seen by us at regular situations also, things would have been way different, vastly different from what they are right now. Anyway, then model code of conduct. So what is this model code of conduct? It's a very unique kind of concept that has come from the origin is in Kerala. So, as far as model code of conduct is concerned, this concept started in Kerala in the 1960s, wherein the parties and the candidates in Kerala thought that, see, we are campaigning, right? And we have to campaign to win the elections, to bring about policies that we want in our state. Let's do one thing. Let's not make campaigns dirty. As in, let's not cross a limit. Let us be ethical in the behavior, in how we campaign. So they started following some self-made guidelines. Okay, no personal remarks, etc. All these things. Election Commission thought it's a very noble idea, right? And Election Commission came up with this concept, said, okay, let's do one thing, let's formalize this process. And in 1974, Election Commission, along with other parties, agreed and issued a set of guidelines that became the model code, a model code of conduct. So if you behave properly, the elections can become a very smooth affair. If you don't behave properly, it could be a challenge. So you can be punished accordingly. This is what is the model code of conduct. It is not statutory. It is just a set of guidelines. Please read the definition here. Model code of conduct is just a set of guidelines laid down by Election Commission to govern the conduct of political parties and candidates in the run-up to an election. That is what is model code of conduct. So what's the purpose? Purpose is very simple. Providing level playing field for all political parties to keep the campaign fair and healthy, avoiding clashes and conflicts between parties and ensuring peace and order. Basically, the point is have free, fair, neat and clean, healthy elections. Not like how it happens in West Bengal, right? Regular occasions. So we have to have fair elections. And fairness also includes healthy elections, avoiding conflicts, avoiding fights, etc., ensuring peace and decorum. So this model code of conduct has originally 7, now 8 different parts. All parts deal with different kind of aspects. For example, under part 1 deals with general process of good behavior that is expected from candidates in political parties. So let's say you are a candidate. So it is a general expectation from you that don't pass personal remarks on the other opposition candidate who is contesting against you. That, oh, look at his marks in class 10th. Look at how he used to speak earlier. Look at how he dresses. No, please. Talk about policies, programs. Don't pass personal remarks. Look at how his or her wife or spouse or husband left him or her. Don't make such remarks. Okay. It does not look nice. Decently. Behave decently. Part 2 and 3 focus on public meetings in processions. So whenever political rallies have to be taken out, there is a decorum that needs to be followed. Firstly, you have to inform the local district magistrate, the local SP, get permission from there. You have to inform them of the entire route that you are going to use, from which route your procession or rally is going to take place. You have to get the permission. Okay. And don't change the route and all randomly. Also, when you are taking your rally out, try to avoid taking out the rally in peak traffic hours, avoid the main routes, etc. Now, you would say, sir, this does not happen. Yeah, it does not happen, but it should happen. That is why it's a guideline. Then part 4 and 5 describe how the political parties and the candidates should conduct themselves on the day of the polling and at the polling booth. So on the day of polling, first things first, don't bribe voters, don't influence them, right? And don't give them chicken biryani and drinks to eat just before they enter. Come on, take a quarter. That is why we have a dry day on the day of voting, so that you are in your complete sense before you vote. Okay. Don't carry any kind of firearms around the polling booth. Don't use stick posters around the polling booths. Because see, at the very last moment, if you try to influence a voter, he or she may get influenced very easily. Remember, in your school days, college days, just before we entered the examination hall, what we had studied in the last 5-10 minutes, we would remember it perfectly well. We would have forgotten everything else, but those things we remembered. So that is how it is. So if you just manipulate somebody before the entry into the polling booth, they may get influenced. So that also should not be done. Then part 6 talks about the authority appointed by the election commission to receive complaints. Now, what kind of punishment is given if you violate model code of conduct? No jail sentence and all. Punishments. So punishments can be, I'll give you some examples. See, punishments can largely be of two kinds. Stop campaign for a few days. You can be told you can't campaign for 24 hours, can't campaign for 48 hours, etc. Or some monetary fines. For example, in the case of Arvind Kejriwal, very interesting case. Mr. Arvind Kejriwal, he had gone to Goa in 2017, Goa elections 2017, and he had gone and said in a public rally to all the people there, people, take, if the parties are giving you 5,000 rupees to vote, you demand 10,000 from them, but vote for Aam Aadmi Party. Maybe he was trying to be funny. Election Commission did not find the joke funny, and they penalized him for not campaigning for, I think, 1 or 2 days. Or Amit Shah. So Mr. Amit Shah in 2015 in Bihar. So he had made a statement in Bihar that, whenever BJP loses, firecrackers burst in Pakistan's and mini Pakistans of India. Or in case of Rahul Gandhi, see, Rahul Gandhi, I mean, he hardly speaks, and when he speaks, you punish him. What can this fellow do? So, same elections, Rahul Gandhi, and he simply made a speech where he said that BJP creates Hindu-Muslim hatred and wins elections. And election commission said, oh, you are using Hindu-Muslim words, don't use it. Or Mr. Yogi Adityanath, Bulldozer Baba, or as our PM calls him, Aditya Yoginath. So in 2019 elections, he had used this term called Ali versus Bali. He told people, now you have to show who is stronger, Ali or Bali. So Ali was reference to Muslims and Bali to Hindus. So again, Hindu-Muslim. Or Mayawati. Mayawati in one rally said that Muslims don't vote for Congress. So again, she was punished. Then sometimes, some people are punished for bad behavior. Like I gave the example of this Azam Khan, who had made a very derogatory remark in the parliament against a presiding officer at one point of time, that Madam, your eyes are, I'm lost in your beautiful eyes. The same Azam Khan. He, in one public rally, made a very sexually colored remark against the fellow candidate, Jaya Prada, the actress. So that was there. These are the punishments. So election commission appoints some local official who will decide the punishment. That's it. Part 7 of MCC talks about the political party in power. What is the expectation from political party in power? So see, when you are the political party in power, you have lot of control over all the resources. You have lot of control over every aspect. Something as simple as, let's say, opposition party. They want to campaign. For that, they have booked a ground. They want permission from DM that they want to conduct a rally there. Now you are the CM, you say, DM, don't give permission. DM has to agree. He says, no, boss says don't give permission. Permission denied. And at that point of time, you will simply say the DM, you want to campaign, you stay in the helicopter only. Don't land, no permission. Campaign from there. I don't know. So these kind of things can happen where you are the ruling party. You can misuse your power and prevent fair play of elections, a fair competition, by simply not giving the opposition fair chance to compete. That should not be there. And lastly, Supreme Court has added one more part. They say any manifesto, any poll promise that you have, that should always be in pursuance of direction of Supreme Court, meaning it should actually be in pursuance of the Constitution. Don't promise anything which is outside the Constitution, and don't promise things where you don't have any kind of fund for it. So please make your promises reasonable, fair, and constitutional. Don't promise unconstitutional things. So that is all as far as model code of conduct is concerned. Now, as far as the legal status is concerned, model code of conduct is not a statutory provision. It is just a guideline, and there is no need to make it statutory also. In fact, Supreme Court has asked on occasions to make it statutory. But Election Commission says no, there is no need. Why? See, if you make it a statutory provision, it becomes a law. If I break the law, Election Commission gives punishment, I will challenge the punishment. As of now, parties accept the punishment. But if you start challenging the punishment in the Supreme Court, in the High Court, lower court, etc., it would only delay the election process. So Election Commission says we want to conduct the elections in a confined time frame, in a time constraint of say 35-40 days. Don't delay it. And anyway, if somebody is actually violating some blatant law, let's say is promoting enmity, hate speech, etc., then we have IPC sections, we have RPA, we have CRPC to punish them. So otherwise, if you are making some very derogatory remarks, hate speech, etc., then we can punish you. For small petty things, I think guidelines are way better, and they are being followed by parties also. That is all as far as MCC is concerned. One very important point, or rather 2 points. MCC comes into force from date of announcement of elections and continues till declaration of results. So right for the entire duration of time. So MCC starts here. MCC in force right from this point, and it continues till this point. Here finally MCC ends. Okay. One more thing. While MCC is in force, the government should not start or launch any new program or policy. While MCC is in force, government not allowed to launch new schemes, because elections are there. If you are now going to launch a new scheme, don't you think it is going to impact the voter drastically? And also, MCC is not applicable on the Prime Minister. Not applicable on Prime Minister. Okay. Okay, now solve the question which came in 2021. Okay, 56% have marked this correctly. Great. In India, there is no law restricting the candidates from contesting in one Lok Sabha election from three constituencies. One Lok Sabha election from three constituencies. There is a law. Okay. How can you say there is no law? RPA 1951, Section 33, subsection 7. It actually does not allow people to contest from more than two constituencies. So one is wrong. One is wrong. Cancel these two. Now, 2 has to be correct. And look at statement 2. It's very difficult. In 1991 Lok Sabha elections, Sri Devi Lal contested from 3 Lok Sabha constituencies. Now, this is impossible statement to remember, right? How many constituencies some random person has contested from? Though Devi Lal was the former deputy prime minister, but still impossible. But that is the beauty of the question. The options are set in such a fashion that you can simply eliminate. And 2 is going to be right. And frankly, 2 is correct because Devi Lal did actually contest from 3 constituencies, and those constituencies were Sikar, Rohtak, and Firozpur. And not just that, he also contested from one more constituency, a Vidhan Sabha constituency. Imagine, had he won all 4 seats, he would have to resign from 3 seats, right? And he lost all 4. Let me be very clear, he lost all 4. Anyway, third statement. As per existing rules, if a candidate contests in one Lok Sabha election from any constituencies, his or her party should bear the cost of by-election to the constituencies vacated by him or her in the event of him or her winning in all the constituencies. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that, for example, if Mr. Narendra Modi contested in 2014 from 2 constituencies, Varanasi and Vadodara, and he won both of them, he resigned from one, he picked Varanasi. Here we have by-elections, yes or no? Now, when the by-elections are conducted by Election Commission, elections again, who will pay for the cost? Government only, Election Commission only. There is no such rule regulation which says that the party has to bear the cost. In fact, there has been recommendation. Law Commission in its 170th report has said that if any candidate tries to do this drama of contesting from 2 seats and wins both the seats, you have to leave one. Now, who bears the cost? The government. Why should the people of this country bear the cost of your safe play? You wanted to play safe by contesting from 2 seats. Your party should bear the cost. But nothing of this sort will ever happen. Okay, so that's there. So 3 is wrong. There is no such rule. Right answer is B, 2 only. That's it. We are done with the model code of conduct and the RPA 50 and 51. The disqualifications under section 8, 8A, 9, 9A, 10, 10A are extremely important. 4 times questions have been asked, so please follow those very, very diligently. Okay. Now we'll take a look at some electoral issues, compulsory voting, right to recall, and electoral bonds one by one, starting with compulsory voting. Okay. uh, do we need a break, guys? Immediately. Okay. Let's take a poll. 10 minutes. A, break required. B, no break required. If you want to take a break, please press A. If you don't want break, press B. Okay. It seems that democracy has won once again. We'll take a small break. Anyway, just refresh yourself. Last 1 hour left. So we'll come back quickly at 7 and we'll continue further. Break, please. Okay, so let's begin now. Last session of the week. So, electoral issues. We'll discuss these three issues one by one. First up is compulsory voting. So, we all very well know that around two-thirds of you have voted, others have not voted. My question to all of you here no, Aishwarya, the session won't end at 7:15. It will continue till 7:50, 7:55. That's when we'll end the session. Hope is a great thing, right? Anyway, my question to everybody, do you understand what is compulsory voting? Mandatory voting. Okay. Is voting compulsory right now? It's not. It's optional. Meaning, if you go to cast your vote, good for you. If you don't vote, no problem. Nothing happens. Voting compulsory meaning it's mandatory to vote. If you don't vote, there could be some penalties, punishments, etc. Okay. So my question is, please type your answer. A for yes, B for no. How many of you want that in India voting should be compulsory? I am typing anything, so there is no right or wrong answer. Please mark. How many of you feel that voting should be compulsory? Oh, that's pretty close. A lot of you have said voting should be compulsory. Of course. I would want also you to tell me reasons. Why don't people vote? What do you think? Right reasons. And all those people who have not voted, give your own reasons also. Why don't you vote? Tell me, why don't people vote? Okay, laziness, quality of candidates, work, lethargy, lazy, everyone corrupt, to enjoy holiday, hate politics. No, you should not hate politics. You can hate politicians. Not satisfied of legislator, lethargic. All political leaders are not genuine. Away from hometown, lazy, some don't have voter ID card, holiday, lack of awareness about voter ID card, right to vote, not interested in politics, inefficient politicians, participation useless, irresponsible. Okay. Don't have trust on anyone, far from home, fed up of politicians. Because the cast invalid votes, can't decide. Okay. Never see Ambani to go for vote. Oh, come on. A lot of people do go and vote, right? They do. In fact, rich and elite have to go and vote to impress people. Okay. So, don't understand the value of one vote. Poverty. How can poverty be a reason? Voting is free. Okay. So, I get a sense that fear of what? I get a sense of certain things. See, there are certain very genuine reasons, and we call this kind of behavior as voter apathy, disinterest. So, first issue that we'll discuss is compulsory voting. What is compulsory voting? Voting being forced upon people. And to begin our discussion, the very first point is, what is meant by voter apathy? Apathy refers to disinterest. There could be various reasons. Laziness. The reasons could range from lack of interest to quality of candidates and also vote value. I mean, you may feel, what's the vote value of my vote? Maybe because of lack of awareness. Then other reasons could be migrated for job, studies, etc. Very interesting is this point of vote value also. See, laziness, lack of interest, that is something that can't be dealt with. As far as quality of candidates is concerned, see, that can be dealt with. If you don't like the candidate, vote for Nota. None of the above. Now you will say, sir, what happens with Nota? Nothing happens. It does not matter. You have sent the message that if you don't send us right candidates, we'll keep on pressing Nota. So that's how it is going to be. And vote value. So of course, that's true largely. I mean, a vote value keeps on changing depending on the size of the group. If there are three friends who want to watch a movie, say today you plan to watch a movie on Netflix. One friend says thriller, the other says romance. You have a deciding vote. Importance of your vote. If there are 20 people and then there, your vote has little value. If there are 10 lakh people, your vote has even lesser value. And we have hardly seen people going out, I mean, people winning by one vote. Okay. There have been two cases actually in our country where people lost elections by one vote. One was a case of A.R. Krishnamurthy from JDS who lost to Dhruv Narayan from Congress in Karnataka way back in 2004. The second was a hilarious case. So before Ashok Gehlot could rise to power in Rajasthan, CP Joshi was a party Congress chief and he was slated to be the chief minister also when Congress would win in 2008. But CP Joshi himself lost to some BJP MLA, Kalyan Singh Chauhan, by one vote. And to add to the misery, CP Joshi's wife did not go to cast the vote on that day of voting. She had gone to temple instead to pray for her husband's victory. That was God's way of saying you have come to the wrong place. You should have gone to the polling booth instead. Anyway, but that's again, normally you don't see somebody winning by one vote. That's also there. Arvinda, that Atal Bihari Vajpayee's one vote, that was different. That is vote of confidence. You can't equate that here because we only have 543 MPs in the Lok Sabha. Here we're talking about lakhs of people. So that's a different context. So normally in the elections, we have never seen a loss by a single vote apart from these two cases. Migrated for job and studies, that's again a cause of concern because now money is a factor. For a poor person to go back to his hometown to cast a vote is a costly affair. So of course, these are genuine concerns, some of them. Some laziness and lack of interest is a very shoddy reason, frankly, so as to say. But coming to now, some arguments in favor of voting or compulsory voting. See, compulsory voting is not there across the globe. There are 28 countries which follow compulsory voting. Countries like Australia, Belgium, Argentina, Brazil, Sweden, they have compulsory voting. So, 28 countries they have compulsory voting. Now, my point is, and very simple, if you make voting compulsory, of course, it can increase the voter turnout. Definitely. More voters would go out and cast their vote. Right. But let me remind you, if you feel that by making voting compulsory, voter turnout will become 100%, that's not possible. That is not possible. Okay. We have seen even those countries where voting is compulsory. I mean, Turkey and all, the voter turnout has been 90%. There will be some cases where people cannot go to vote, etc. That will be there. So it can increase voter turnout around 7 to 17% is what our studies say, not 100%. That will not be possible. So one more thing, uh, apart from the increase in voter turnout, it will also increase people's participation genuinely in the elections, a genuine increase in participation. Sorry to also add a point, and I would seek a response from you also. What do you think should we do if you don't come out to vote? Let's say we make voting compulsory from tomorrow onwards. If somebody does not come out to vote, what do you think would be the right kind of punishment? Tell me, please write. Nothing, no punishment. Then why will people come to vote? Salary cut off one day, salary only for those who are working. What about those who are not working? Monetary punishment, more income tax, power interruption. Oh, bar from government subsidies only. Cut electricity supply for a week. 1 month no ration. Cancel voter card. That's what they want. They'll say, oh, very happy. Community service, fine. See, if you impose fine, as a lot of you are saying, what kind of fine? How much monetary fine do you think is appropriate if people don't vote? What monetary fine? Okay, 10,000, 2,000, whatever. Don't you think an upper middle class person, rich person can very easily pay this fine? A poor cannot. If you impose monetary fine, you are forcing the poor to vote, but the rich can simply pay a fine and move out, say, I won't vote. Secondly, jail sentence is too harsh. Jail for not voting would be too harsh. Number three, if again you are not going to give them subsidies, who takes subsidies? The poor people. Rich and elite don't take subsidies. Again, you are targeting poor people. I mean, everything that you are suggesting is targeting the poor only. That's not nice. We cannot target poor people like this. It is like, targeting the poor based on their, based on these criteria, it's like we are selectively targeting only poor people. Not giving access to petrol. See, cutting electric supply and all, that could be a challenge. You are violating the people's basic rights. That should not be done. Also, understand this voter turnout can only increase depending on punishment. If the punishment is there, then voters will turn out. And that also, how severe is the penalty? And second thing, how strictly are we enforcing it? Strict enforcement. If your punishments are not being enforced strictly, then why will we vote? It's okay. But let me also help you understand. when you don't go out and vote and penalty is imposed, won't you give reasons? I think all of you would agree that there can be some emergency in somebody's house on the day of voting. It's possible, right? Maybe somebody falls ill, you fall ill, you meet with an accident. It's possible. Now, for those people, we cannot impose penalties, right? Imagine if you impose penalties, then people will also challenge the penalty. This can always be challenged in the courts. In our country, roughly 30 crore people did not vote in 2019. Roughly 30 crore people. Imagine 30 crore people are challenging the punishment in the lower courts. 30 crore people challenging punishments. How do we make sure that their cases are heard? So we have to understand, when we are imposing punishments of any kind, people should always be given the right to challenge the punishment, because the punishment could be wrong also. There could be various reasons. So voter turnout will increase, but it will be based on some kind of imposition of penalty, which again depends on multiple factors. Or we can go the Brazil way. In Brazil, their DL is taken away. So if you don't vote, driving license is taken away. Or if you don't vote, then you are not allowed to appear for the government examinations. If it happens in India, then all the UPSC aspirants, they will have to vote. That's point number one. Point number two, it can increase people's participation, definitely. Then weaker section will get voice. So if you make voting compulsory, all the weaker sections from various communities, groups, etc., they also get a say, because now they have to go and vote, and they will vote, and they will also form a very solid and strong vote bank, which can force our politicians into accepting their demands. So the weaker section gets a voice of their own, that now I will vote, and we are a group. If you want our votes, you have to win our hearts also. Okay. Then normally all these politicians keep on saying that we want to spend more money in elections. Why more money? Because campaign, we have to spread awareness, right? If we keep on spreading awareness, then what happens? More and more people vote. So in the garb of spreading awareness, they want to spend money. Now, if voting is compulsory, it becomes the obligation of an individual to get information and go to vote. So lesser money may be required in campaigning. That will bring the cost down for elections. Less money power, less muscle power, more fairness. Then it will also make the campaigns broader. Right now, politicians know which category, which community casts vote, right? Which of these groups cast their votes? They know. A lot of people don't cast their vote. Simple example, NRIs. We have no provision for NRIs to cast the vote. You have to come back. That's a difficult process. A lot of women don't cast their vote. A lot of caste groups don't cast their vote. But when everybody starts voting, the political parties will have to incorporate in their poll promises something for every group. Offer some aspect, some provision for every group and every section of the society. Offer provisions for every section of society in the poll promise, because it will make campaigns broader in the sense that the moment everybody gets to vote and they will come to vote, I'll have to, in my poll promise, offer something for everybody. If I have to win the hearts of everyone, I will have to offer things for everybody. Then it will also encourage voters to better educate themselves. So right now, no interest in voting, but if voting is compulsory, people will start gathering information. So see, if voting is compulsory only, you know very well, why not take the effort to know my candidate and then vote properly? So maybe you'll go to your friend's place before the day of voting, discuss with him or her, right? Come up with a very good argument why to vote for this person, why not that person. So the people in general will start educating themselves more about the candidates. And very important, it will make elections a more serious affair. So currently, and you'll appreciate this point, that in our country, elections are the festival of democracy. Let's celebrate it. And sometimes it is very demeaning to think of elections like some kind of festival, etc. It's not a festival. We are going to choose people who are going to define the governance of this country in the next 5 years. It's not a joke. And then look at the situation. I mean, if anyone knows here how to train dogs, how do we train dogs for various activities? By giving food. Dogs work for food. We give food items, they get trained. You see what we have come down to right now. Various fast food chains and all, they run campaigns. Show your stained finger, get a free burger. Meaning, go and vote, show the mark, get a free burger. Now it has come down to a situation where we have to force people, come on, take this burger, go and vote. Is this what voting is for us now? For free burgers? No self-interest to choose the right leader. This is very shameful. I mean, this is the worst we can do to treat our citizens, that come on, take pizza, take burger, go and vote. That's not how voting should be. It's a very serious affair. It's not some casual, fun-filled activity. Don't make it a fun-filled activity. We have to attach the sense of seriousness to voting, which it deserves. So it becomes more serious now. Also, right now, election commission is not being forced into eliminating errors. You see, there are so many occasions where a lot of people don't find they go to the polling booth to vote because I'll vote, take a photograph, upload on social media. They go to the polling booth, name is not there. What will you do? Nothing. Come back home, sit, become emotional. You forget the next day. NRIs, you have to spend lakhs of rupees to come back and vote. So all these situations will not happen if voting is compulsory. Because if voting is compulsory, now it is the duty of the election commission to make sure that you and your name are there in the voter list, to make sure that there is ease in obtaining a voter ID card. So it will also result in simplifying the voting process. In fact, Election Commission of India will be forced into doing it. What is the step that we are taking? For example, this step that we're taking with respect to working with IIT Madras on remote voting using the blockchain technology. What is that? That is just a way in which Election Commission understands the problem of migrant laborers, migrant workers who are working on daily wages. We can't expect them to go back home and vote. So we are trying to come up with innovative ways to even allow people remote voting at different places. So that has started only because the Election Commission understands the challenges that are associated with people going back home and voting. So these are all arguments in favor. Now coming to arguments against. First up is that typical argument that you have, that is choice. In a democracy, I have a right to vote. I also have a right to reject voting, because understand, you have the freedom of speech and expression. Similarly, you also have the exact opposite freedom. the freedom of silence, that's also there. Similarly, if you have the right to vote, you should also have the right to not vote, and that is actually mentioned in RPA. If you refer to RPA 1951, there is one section 79D which says very clearly, right to vote also includes refrain from voting. Right to vote includes refrain from voting. That's there. Of course, it may decrease the interest also in general. So whenever you force people into doing something against their will, they won't appreciate it. Your personal example. Let's say you have thought that from tomorrow morning, I will study properly, I'll follow my timetable, and you make a 12-hour timetable to follow. And you get up early morning, take bath, clean your room, clean the table. And before you are about to sit and study, your mom comes and passes a comment. Always wasting time, never studying, what will happen, exams around the corner. Now that will irritate you. What the hell is this? I was going to study and now you are passing comments. Now you will say, now I won't study. My mood is spoiled. Vibe check is not there. The point is that the moment somebody forces you into doing anything, we tend to develop a disinterest of sorts. Okay, this is the problem. You force it and people will develop a sense of disinterest. And then we will also see a problem of donkey votes, informal voting. What is informal voting? Voting casually. You know, voting is compulsory, right? You will go to the polling booth, all these buttons are there. You will press some random button, not even look towards the screen, press some random button and say, okay, my task is done. I mean, you would want to waste least amount of time. You'll just run there, press button, run back, immediately run out from there. My task is over. So this happens. In fact, donkey votes was a big problem in Australia. So in Australia, it was found that people had no interest in voting. So in Australia, there's a list system of voting where you mark preferences 1, 2, 3, 4. So what was found was that if the names of candidates is mentioned, people would simply start writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's it, without even looking at who the person is. And throw the paper, run out from there. Task over. That is also possible, right? And it will also increase the law enforcement cost. I mean, enforcement cost with respect to enforcing penalties, that is collection of penalties. If, see, monetary fines can't be imposed, that will not be right. It would be wrong to impose monetary fines, completely wrong. Then also the problem of challenge in the court. Even if 10% people challenge from the non-voters, that amounts to 3 crores. And let me tell you something. I mean, I hope you understand the concept of sample space. If I have to conduct a survey and I ask people, I get a generic response, right? The more people I ask, the better my survey is, right? In our country, 60 crore people go out and vote. 60 crore people. I mean, if 60 crore people cannot represent the mood of the nation correctly, 90 crore will also not be able to do it. 60 crore is not a small number. It's a very, very large number, right? And our voter turnout is, if not very cut above, it's almost in that same zone and slightly better than some other developed countries where voting is not compulsory. For example, voter turnout, say in a country like India, 2019 Lok Sabha election, across the country, our voter turnout was roughly 67.4%. Okay, if you compare this to say USA, in the 2020 elections for the president, it was 66.7%. In UK, it was 63%. So India is not faring very poorly compared to other Western countries. So that is not a very big concern. And if you observe closely, lot of countries which had compulsory voting, they are now moving away from it. The whole point is, so in a democracy, you want coercion and democracy to go hand in hand. Not justified. In fact, even in the Constituent Assembly, it was rejected because they said logistically it is not possible. Compulsory voting, you'll have a lot of challenges in imposing penalty, etc. It's not possible. Even the Dinesh Goswami committee, NCRWC, they have all rejected compulsory voting. Some examples I'll quote. Countries moving away from compulsory voting. So, Italy is a very good example. Italy is a country which had compulsory voting, but in 1993, it moved away. Thailand, since 2012, Thailand does not have compulsory voting. Or Austria, since 2004, no compulsory voting. Cyprus recently, 2017, no compulsory voting. Netherlands, 1967, no compulsory voting. So many countries. Chile, 2012, no compulsory voting. So countries are also moving away from it. So that's there. How to address the concern now? What to do now? So the best way is persuade, spread awareness. Tell people of the importance of voting. Persuasion. In fact, this is not a meme made by me. This is a meme made by Election Commission, PIB. So they have used this movie. If others don't know, this is a very classic scene from DDLJ, right? Where the girl's father, or you can also say boy's father, says, please marry this amazing person. He or she always votes. What if you get the love of your life on the polling booth only? Who knows? That could also be a way to tell youngsters, come on, go and vote. What if you meet somebody and become no, this one, two bodies, one soul for life? That's there. Apart from it, see, election commission is taking certain steps also. In fact, they have started celebrating the National Voters Day. Since 2011, we have also observed this happening, that they are celebrating what we call as the National Voters Day every year, and that is also there. So election commission as a body was formed in 1950 on the 25th of January, just one day before the Republic Day. And since 2011, we are celebrating that day as the National Voter Day. So it is just a way to promote voting in our country. More and more people should come out and vote. So celebrating National Voters Day. That's also there. 25th of January. Since 2011. Apart from it, we also have taken steps. As I said, a very important step that has been taken by EC is to work towards remote voting, etc. Interestingly, somebody had mentioned that one day holiday enjoyment and all. That's actually true. A lot of people do take leaves for voting because under section 135 capital B of RPA 51, it is mandatory for the employer to give you a leave on the day of voting. So what will people do? They'll take leave but don't go to vote. Now, Election Commission has recently issued a notification to all PSUs first, and their target is to get information on all such people who take leave, right, but don't go and vote. And ECI says that what we are going to do is we will prepare a list of all such people and we'll force them into attending a compulsory workshop, a 6-hour workshop on importance of voting. That will teach them a lesson. If you want to save half an hour, you have to attend 6-hour workshop. That can be a very interesting step. So these things can be are being undertaken. In fact, now for all those people who say that it's a difficult process, Election Commission is also simplifying the voting process. We have this concept called no voter left behind, right? No voter to be left behind. That's also a concept now. So Aadhaar and voter ID card linkage is happening. Form 6B is there. There's a voter helpline number, VHA. There's a voter portal also. So there is VHA, that is voter helpline app, plus a portal where you can make requests for any kind of changes in your voter ID card, apply for voter ID card. Then you have the National Voter Services portal also, where you can apply, make changes, etc. Then there is a PWD app, where if you are marked as a person with disabilities, you can get a wheelchair at the polling booth. So all these things are steps being taken, right, to improve or simplify the voting process. It will take its own sweet time. Or incentives, we can also provide incentives, not monetary incentives, like pasting photograph, giving them some kind of online certificate they can use on their social media platform. So all these things can be done. Okay. So these are some advantages, or not advantages, but these are some steps that can be taken to improve upon the existing regime of voting in the country, right? So that is all as far as the right or the compulsory voting is concerned. So see, you have the pros, you have the challenges. The conclusion is up to you. My idea would be to have a safe conclusion. We should never sound very adamant on any aspect. We should always be open to reasoning and argument. So when you write an answer on compulsory voting, if you take a very strong stand, you will come across as very hardliner. In your answers, you have to reflect in the mind of evaluator this image that you are somebody who understands the challenges. So it would always be better to not go for compulsory voting, but rather go for persuasion and awareness. You make people aware of the importance of voting, etc. That will go a long way in improving the quality of candidates also when more people turn out. And eventually, see, some people will never vote. Whatever you may do, they will not show any interest. It's okay. I mean, why do you and why should I feel that my way or the highway is the only way forward? I may have a certain sense of love towards my country. Others may not have it. It's okay. So the moment we accept this argument and this line of thinking, it's justified. It's just that we want to increase in a slow and steady manner our voter turnout, and voter turnout, or rather, the lesser turnout should not be because of reasons of lack of awareness, lack of opportunity. It's a costly affair. These reasons have to be eliminated. Otherwise, if somebody is lazy, what can we do? No amount of coercion, no amount of convincing will ever take them to the polling booth. And even if you take them to polling booth, they'll press any random button because you can take the horse to the pond, you cannot make it drink. That's it. So, Sushri, I said incentive certificate, meaning you can give any kind of online certificate, right? Some kind of sticker can be given which you can use in your Instagram or any social media platform that I am a voter, etc. So showcasing people, appreciating people who go out and vote, but don't give free food and all. That's not nice. It tends to disrespect the voting idea. It's just like we discussed activism today. Supreme Court gave an order in 2016. All cinema theaters have to play the national anthem, and you should stand up for the anthem. Stand up is okay, justified. Why should the national anthem played in the theaters? What kind of logic is this? In the theater, hundreds of movies play every year. National anthem is not some song that you sing anywhere. It has respect to it. You are playing the national anthem right now. After that, in the same theater, you have some say Imran Hashim movie running or some kind of adult movie running full of abusive language. How does that elevate the status of the national anthem? So some things have a lot of respect, honor, decorum. We can't misuse that. Respect has to be given. So it is very important. So throwing burgers on somebody's face to vote is not justified. We have to treat it with a lot of respect because this is what decides the fate of our country for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So that's all as far as voting is concerned. And that's it. I am done for today. Let's meet the next weekend where we'll continue our discussion on the remaining topics. We'll discuss some other aspects and all smaller topics that remain will be covered in the next week. That's all for me, guys. Jai Hind. And now I'll take your questions if you have any. Biometric voting, yes. Garam City, fair enough. But again, it could be a very costly affair. See, we also have to understand that monetary value is also there, which is attached to simplifying things. It's slightly costly, but yes, fair enough. Before 48 hours, yes, no campaigns, that's also there. How to revise effectively? As I have said, if you are reading the slides 5 to 10 times and then not able to remember, please approach me. But true to yourself, are you reading the slides 5 to 10 times? Anything less, you will not be able to recollect. Beyond that, solve MCQs, write all the answers from these topics which have been asked in the previous years, right? We have the videos also on your tablet. Watch the video, write the answer, get your answers evaluated. This is going to be very, very important. Nitesh, most people vote for alcohol. Of course, that's a very sad story. How to read questions fastly? Oh. So how to read questions fast? It's okay. You don't have to be very fast. What is more important is to be careful than being fast. So your pace of reading will increase when you read more. The more you read, the faster your pace will become. So look at all those people who read books. Their pastime is reading, not to mention in some interview, but their genuine pastime. They read very fast. So the more you read, the faster your speed is. And beyond a certain time, you don't have to be very fast. You have to be very careful and you have to have a better comprehension of the question. That is more important than speed here. College studies with revision. So I think very important would be the element of studying current affairs in your college duration only. So when you are in college, on your mobile phone, download the Indian Express app, the Hindu app, read editorials there only. Finished it off. Download some PDF of some monthly magazine, read there only. So try to use the time that you spend here and there in the college, in the class also. If you're not paying attention and sitting as a backbencher, read your current affairs. And then come back home. And always for working professionals as well as for students, please study in the morning. Don't plan to study once you come back from your job because you'll be too exhausted to study. Defection of politicians, no, Cherub, that not really. I mean, how many people? Very small percentage would actually be moving away from voting because people change parties. I don't think that's a very solid reason for not voting. Does freebies really have an effect? Uh, Shrikant, in general, yes. See, we have to have some faith and belief in the goodwill of the people. That if I have given you, see, the point is, if I give you freebies today, right, you know very well that this party gives freebies. If they come to power again, more freebies. So freebie is just an initiative. This is nothing. You vote for me, more things are about to come. So that is just luring the person into thinking that once they come to power, imagine what all freebies. So maybe as an intellectual, you may feel, oh, freebies, once you come to power, you'll only get involved in corruption. But for most people, they don't worry about this. As long as they are getting a juicer mixer grinding in their house, it's okay. Dhaval, that is best left for Supreme Court to answer. That is the whole problem. Their way of selectively taking cases, nobody knows what is the criteria. I mean, they are still pondering over the Article 370 issue or CAA issue or this issue also. Keep on giving government the time to respond. Not justified. But if you have a stand, please respond immediately. I think these matters should be taken on priority basis. But we don't really know where their interests lie. So there has to be some kind of sincerity on their part to take up these matters like say the Tribunal Reforms Act at the earliest and dispose of, not give leeway to the lawyers too much. Okay. No, Chirap. If MCC has a legal backing, the big problem is going to be uh, people challenging in the court the punishments, and that will delay the election process. Shreya, how to analyze mock tests and questions? See, mock test or solving any kind of test involves three steps. Step one, you solve the test. Step two, after some time, say half an hour, 1 hour, revise all the solutions. Now you will find two things, or you may have made two kind of mistakes. One, lack of revision. Two, you may have made a mistake on account of some new fact that is coming to you. If a new fact comes, write it down in your notes. If you have made some mistake because of revision was not there, revise that topic selectively, right? And step three, all the mock tests are just a way to improve your notes further, make them more and more accurate, and to force you into revising again and again. Yaram City, that refers to also model code of conduct, right? So day of polling and days before polling. Postal ballot, yes, yes. Mayank Vadwani, it is applicable for army officials. It's still operational. Shreya, that also comes with practice. Reading the solution and finding out new facts and finding out your mistakes and revising that topic. That is going to be a comprehensive way to analyze the solution. Priyanka, identifying important news. That will come through you going through previous year questions. What topic is important? We have no clue. The only clue that we have is the PYQs. If I said, say in the panchayats, that don't read the topic, all these recommendations of committees. Why? In the last 30 years, not a single question was asked. Same thing. What is important for current affairs is something that you'll get to know when you have by-hearted the previous year questions, you know very well this kind of question can't be asked only. Ignore that topic. So previous year questions tell us what is important, what is not. Lakshmi, if Nota gets majority of the votes, nothing happens. The next person or whoever as a human being gets the highest votes is declared the winner. Okay. Yes, Shiva, of course, that's there. That's what you can hope for by also participating in elections regularly. Sushri, I think you should write to then the target IAS on this as to which module and where is the location of that particular previous year questions in the tablet. Parth. About matrix. I don't think so. That would be a bit too far-fetched to ask a question about the matrix. Maithili, I am completely embroiled with classes that are online and offline. It becomes slightly challenging, lack of time. See, right now I'll be leaving this session and I'll be going and taking the target prelims on the app, that fourth polity session. Okay, anything else that remains? No, Mayank, RVMs are not operational. They are just in a very initial stage of discussion only. We're just thinking on how to launch it because it has got a lot of security concern. Imagine EVMs are standalone devices and our politicians are crazy that, oh, it can be hacked and all. It has been proved beyond doubt that you cannot hack EVMs. But still, and imagine when you start remote voting, what kind of consequence will it have? So that's there. Okay, guys. So I believe that's all. In case you have any concerns, please get your concerns resolved by the experts and revise. We'll meet in the next week with some more questions to solve. And that's going to be all for me for today. Jai Hind.